The wind howled through the trees, a mournful cry that echoed across the barren landscape. In the distance, the dark silhouette of the old manor stood against the night sky, its windows like empty eyes staring into the void. The air was thick with the smell of decay, of earth and stone, and time long forgotten. It had been years since anyone had dared set foot near the place, and those who had ventured too close never returned. Evelyn stood at the edge of the overgrown driveway, staring up at the decaying mansion that loomed in front of her. She could feel the weight of the place, the oppressive silence that hung over it like a shroud. It was as though the house was holding its breath, waiting for something or someone. She shivered, tugging her coat tighter around her slender frame. "You sure about this?" her friend Claire asked, her voice shaky, though she tried to mask it with a forced chuckle. She wasn't as brave as she liked to pretend. "I mean, it's kind of creepy, right?" Evelyn didn't respond right away. Instead, she stepped forward, her boots crunching on the gravel, the sound breaking the stillness like a crack in glass. Claire hesitated, then followed, her footsteps hesitant. "I need to know what happened here," Evelyn finally said, her voice low, almost to herself. She wasn't entirely sure why she had come to this place. She had heard the rumors as a child, tales of a mansion full of unspeakable horrors, of a family driven to madness by something that had crawled out of the earth beneath their feet. But it wasn't just the stories that had drawn her here, it was the letter. The one that had arrived at her door, written in ink that seemed to smudge under the touch, stained by something dark, something that wasn't quite ink at all. "I know what you are looking for. It is here, beneath the house. You will find it before the sun rises." It had been signed with a name she didn't recognize, but that wasn't what had caught her attention. No, it was the words at the end, "Before the sun rises." Evelyn had spent the past few weeks obsessing over the letter. The more she read it, the more she believed it was meant for her. The more she believed it was calling her to the manor, to the secrets hidden beneath its rotting floors. There was something she needed to uncover, something she couldn't shake. It gnawed at her, a constant ache in her chest. The mansion loomed over them now, its windows dark and empty, as if staring back at them with a hollow gaze. A few lights flickered in the distance, perhaps from the nearby town, perhaps from something far more sinister. "What do you think is in there?" Claire asked, her voice trembling with a mix of fear and curiosity. Evelyn took a deep breath, her pulse quickening as she stepped onto the creaking wooden porch. "I don't know, but I think we're about to find out."
The door creaked open with a groan that seemed to echo through the empty halls. The air inside the manor was thick with dust, heavy with the scent of something ancient. Cobwebs hung from the corners like tattered curtains, and the faint outline of furniture could be seen beneath the layer of grime. It was as though time had forgotten this place entirely. Claire shuddered, stepping inside reluctantly. This is messed up, Evelyn. I don't think we should be here." Evelyn barely heard her, her attention fixed on something else. There, at the far end of the hallway, a faint light flickered. A candle, perhaps? But there was something unnatural about it. The flame was too steady, too constant, as if it wasn't affected by the drafts or the wind outside. It glowed with an eerie, pale light. "Stay close," Evelyn said, her voice barely more than a whisper. She started toward the light, her footsteps silent on the creaking floorboards. Claire hesitated, but followed, her eyes darting nervously around the room as they made their way down the hallway. The further they walked, the colder the air became, and the more oppressive the silence felt. It was as though the house was closing in on them, its walls pushing against their chests, suffocating them with its history. At the end of the hall, the light led them to a doorway that was slightly ajar. Evelyn paused for a moment, her hand hovering over the doorknob. She could feel it then, a faint vibration beneath her skin, a hum that seemed to resonate through the very foundation of the house. Without a word, she pushed the door open. Inside, the room was shrouded in darkness. The only source of light was the strange flickering flame that hovered in the center of the room, casting long, twisted shadows against the walls. And in the center of those shadows, a shape began to take form. At first, it was indistinct, just a blur, a dark shape shifting and writhing, but then it began to solidify. It was a figure, a man, tall and gaunt, with pale skin that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. His eyes, however, were the most unsettling. They were too dark, too empty, like bottomless pits that drew everything into them. Evelyn froze. The man was standing motionless, his gaze locked on her. She couldn't move, couldn't look away. What is this?" Claire whispered, her voice cracking. But Evelyn didn't answer. She couldn't. The man was speaking without words, his mouth never moving, yet she could hear him clear as day. His voice was like an echo in her mind, a whisper that crawled beneath her skin. You shouldn't have come. Evelyn's heart pounded in her chest, a frantic rhythm that drowned out everything else. She tried to speak, but her voice faltered. Her body felt heavy, as if the air itself was pressing down on her. The figure tilted his head slightly, his eyes narrowing. And then, with a sound that was both a growl and a hiss, he lunged.